Today, I'm going to be setting up my reading journal for the month of November. Hey guys, I'm Tracy and I want to welcome you back to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Today, I'm going to do a very simple spread for the month of November because I'm not going to be doing any readathons or anything like that. It's just going to be a really busy month and I just want to mood read. So that is what I'm going to do. There's a lot of books that I really want to continue into the month. So I don't think I'm going to be struggling to find the motivation to read. So I'm going to pull back on my monthly readathons. I am going to continue with my annual challenges and try to fulfill those because I've been doing really good this year. So this is going to be a very simplistic setup. With that said, I've already started setting up my 2026 reading journal and I should have videos coming out on that very soon. And depending upon when you're watching this video, it may already be out. So definitely check my playlist to catch those videos. So this is my 2025 reading journal, getting very thick. You can see like it doesn't even stay shut without the band. I love a good chunky journal. Before I actually start setting up for the month of November, I'm going to do a quick recap of the month of October just so you can kind of see things. And because we are coming up on journal setup time, I'm going to chat a little bit about some things in here too. First, I want to chat about my calendar. So early on, and I actually was doing this last year, but early on, the way I like to do my calendars is I put a dot marker next to the book, and then every day that I read that book, I will put a dot. So you can see on the 17th, I read 2 books. On the 20th, I read 3 books. But this kind of gives me a good picture of all the days I actually read, because you can see here, there were 2 days I did not read. I did not do very well here, but I did much better than I did the other months. What I did here is this is not the days I read. It's when I started the book and when I ended the book. And I actually had to go to my app to figure that out. So this is not a picture of how much I read. I will say I probably read almost every single day this month, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 days when I had migraines. But other than that, I was like reading so many books. I mean, I read 9 books. So of course I had to read a lot of days because I am not a super fast reader. But I think to improve the accuracy and be able to get back into the habit or actually be able to put dot markers for every day I read, I'm going to start capturing that in my planner and my daily planner in particular. And then I can come into here and then just transfer it in at the end of the month. I think that will probably be something that will work a little bit better. So that is what I'm going to do, but I still did use the dot marker. So you can see I started, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I started on the 1st. I did not date this, but I did write the dots on the correct spot, but I need to write the dates in. And then I finished it about 2 weeks later. So that's kind of how I would read it. I did kind of set a TBR for some of my annual challenges, and I kind of went a little bit a little bit off of that for a few of them. So I did complete them, except I did not complete the Aldia one. I might do that this month. I needed to read a debut, and I just kind of didn't think about it. I completely forgot about it. And now I'm like, oh no, how do I find a good debut author? Especially in like romantasy or the fantasy world. Of course, I can read probably an older book. I can probably read someone's debut novel that isn't like 2025. It could be like 2011. But I just haven't gotten there yet. So maybe I'll do that this month. The Bewitched Book Challenge. Now, my score is not that great. It's only 40, and that's right here. That's the second level, and I did do the medium. So with the medium for this one, it was basically I could do one book and do 2 prompts for that one book. So I went the easy route. I went the medium route instead of the easy route. The easy route was I could have used one book for 3 prompts, but I just was like, let's just go ahead and do medium. So with the medium, I got 40 points. I probably could have got more points if I did the easy, but we're going to stick with the 40 points. I will say I am now going to highly recommend readathons. Not for like getting points and stuff, because like I said, I got 40. The max you can get is 81 plus. So point wise, it didn't seem like I did well. That's just because some of the books I read, they all kind of pertain to the same like prompt. So I didn't get as many points as I could have. But if I can say there was one success about this challenge, is the very first prompt, or maybe it was the second prompt I decided to take on for this challenge, was a book with a star on the cover, or stars on the cover. And I had two options for my TBR. I had The Stars Are Dying and Savage 6. And they were on my TBR for the buzzword reading challenge. So like I already had them on my list. So when I was like looking for covers, those are what stood out for me. And I started reading the Savage 6 series. It is a Why Choose Romantasy series. Each of the books have like 350-ish pages, and they're Kindle Unlimited. It was such a fast read. I ended up reading all 4 books this month. That like never happens. I really, really enjoyed the series. There were a lot of eye roll moments. I gave all of the books like 3.5 stars. So these are not like books I'm going to reread again, but they were fun. And that is what I needed this month. So I was really happy with all of those 3.5-star reads because they were just fun. And that is what I like. That's just what I needed. And it was a good time. So yeah, here is how I broke down my points. I just kind of wrote everything here so that way I can pull out these cards at any time to kind of help refer to what everything was. I only did like 2 spells because I only completed 3 prompts and 2 categories. But let's talk about my wrap up real quick. I may do a voiceover where I'm talking about the actual books that I read, just in case you're interested. I like doing that just in case you are a like fantasy or romantasy reader and you're looking for some recommendations. Then maybe some of the books I chat about could maybe give you a recommendation or 2. So for my quick wrap up, like I said, I did 9 books. 2 of them were audio, 7 were ebooks, most of which were Kindle Unlimited. My audios all came from the library though. I did 66% of the ones that I read were part of series. Of course, like I just said, 4 of them were part of one series, but I did read one duology, or I did finish a duology. So I read one book that was part of a duology and I read 2 standalones. That's really, really rare for me is to read standalones. But I read 2 this month. So yay. 44% I gave 3 to 3.25 stars for. 33% of my reads I gave 3.5 to 3.75 stars for. And then 22% were 4 to 4.5 star reads. I read like a little over 2,600 pages, a little more than 2,900 audio hours. I do separate those 2. So I did not count the page numbers for the audiobooks because I didn't read them. I just listened to them. So it's just what I do. And it took me about 7 days on average to complete. Some of these books, it only took me 2 days. I wrote some kind of things like how many new series I started, which is 1, and I also finished that series. And then I continued with 3, and then I finished a duology. This is kind of new. I'm trying to like brainstorm for 2026, especially because I've already started setting it up. It's kind of started thinking about it. So I'm trying to figure out some things that I want to capture. So I didn't get all fancy over here. I just hand wrote it in. But maybe in my 2026 journal, I'll do some pre-made labels and do some things there. But I thought the quickest read and the slowest read, I really want to capture, especially because this month I read a book in 2 days. So that's the reason why I was like, I want to capture that somewhere. So yeah, I read Savage Desire. I think that was the second book in the Savage 6 series. I read that in 2 nights. 2 nights. So not even 2 days, like 2 nights. It took me like 4 hours to read that book, I think. Slowest read was Assassin's Blade. That was because it was an audiobook, so I was only listening to it at certain times. That's the only reason. That was one of my highest rated books. That was a 4.5 star, along with my favorite, which was A Promise So Bold and Broken. That was the second book in a series. I can't think of the series title though. The longest book was Promise So Bold and Broken. That was only 418 pages. That's kind of low for me as far as like the biggest book of the month. And the shortest one was Ambrosia. That was 350 pages. That was part of the Frost and Nectar series, which is the one that I completed. It was a duology. I completed that one. And then I completed one series. So I wanted to capture that there. And that's it. That is all I'm doing for my wrap-ups. You can see I kind of wrote some stuff, look at this. I'm kind of like getting sloppy with it. I just don't love doing reviews, but I have decided I'm going to kind of continue with it into the new year. I don't want to not have reviews. So I do think I'm going to keep up with the reviews. I'm just not going to put much pressure to do too much. I basically want the stats and what I overall thought about it. So we'll go from there. All right, let's talk about how I'm going to decorate. I think I'm going to use Fall Love from Live Love Posh. I believe this is still available. If it is, I will link it down in the description. My discount code AGWP10 will save you 10%. There's a really cool set in here I want to use. Here it is. I want to use these. I want to use the feathers and florals. Yeah, this is just going to be a pretty floral spread. I may pull in some of these because I think they would match. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple. I actually think... I don't think I'm going to do a cover page. Like I've been doing like fun cover pages. I don't think I'm going to do a cover page this month. I think we're just going to kind of just roll with it. See what happens. I just haven't prepped for anything, so I'm just going to decorate. I do have to do a calendar, so I'm going to put stickers down, see where there's room, and then draw my calendar. I am going to do a TBR. That is because, where does this go? Maybe I'll just put this down here. That's because there are 3 year-long challenges that I do. It is the Goober Readathon, which is hosted by Jess over at Joshie Curran. And I do the Buzzwordathon, which is hosted by Books on Lala. And I do the Adventures in Aldea, which is part of the Magical Readathon. And that is hosted by G over at Book Roast. So I will, have TBRs because I'm like looking at the prompts and trying to figure out like how I can achieve those, like, how I can check that one off for the month. So that is the reason why I do like doing that, because like I said, it kind of gives me guidance. And as a mood reader, sometimes I need that guidance to kind of help narrow things down, because I can spend like over an hour just searching for my next book read. So yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to speed this up. I'll do a voiceover and I'll chat a little bit about my TBR for this month. And I will chat a little bit about the books I read last month. Before I start chatting about my TBR, I do want to quickly just talk about how I chose to decorate all of these pages. So I just chose to pretty much put my stickers around the perimeter and then put all of the like tallies, calendar, text in the middle. But because of that, I decided I did want the word November to be pretty large. So I decided to use these alphabet stickers from the Live Love Posh Seasonal Love sticker book. I believe it came in the January set. In that sticker book, every month or every season has a matching alphabet and numbers sticker set, which is really, really helpful. I do pull them out though and put them in a binder so that way I can use them whenever I want and not just with the chosen sticker set. But let's go ahead now and start talking about my TBR for the month of November. So for the Buzzword Reading Challenge, the prompt is the word never in the title. I have already started reading this book, so this is definitely going to be a book that I'm going to finish because I'm already 21% in. I am filming this on the 3rd. I did not start it until the 1st, I promise. But I'm currently reading, I believe it's Neverthorn Academy. I just have Neverthorn written down, but I believe it's Neverthorn Academy. It's kind of your typical like fantasy, romantasy, academy-based story, or at least that's where it is right now. I have to see if there's any twists and turns that surprise me. Right now, I'm getting vibes that it might be like a 3.5-star read. Hopefully that can improve. Like I said, I'm only a quarter of the way in, but we'll see. I definitely feel like this is one I'm going to finish though. So we'll probably be able to check that one off pretty soon. For the Goober Reading Challenge, the prompt is found family or friendship. There's actually 2 prompts for each month and you can choose which one you want. I don't know what the other prompt is, but this is the one that I have chosen to do. And if you read a lot of romantasy, found family or friendship is pretty much a common theme. So I'm pretty sure any book I read, I can probably put that in here. But I just penciled in A Bond So Fierce and Fragile because that is the third book in a series that I'm reading. I will pop up the name of the series on the screen because once again, I can't remember it. But I'm really, really excited to continue the series. The first book in the series, A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly, was a 5-star read. And then A Promise So Bold and Broken was a 4.5-star read last month. That was the second book in a series. So I had very high expectations for this third book. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a read this month as well. And then for Adventures in Aldea, my prompt, there are several prompts for Adventures in Aldea. It depends on the path you have taken. And for the path that I am on, the prompt is a new to me popular author. I don't know if that's how it's worded, but that's the gist of the prompt. I've chosen Quicksilver. Now, I know that it's a new to me popular book, and I've never read the author, so that's why I'm choosing it, okay? I don't really know if we can say it's a popular author, but I think the author is now popular because of the popularity of the book, so I think it's going to count. Yes, I am behind with this book, but I know the second one is coming out this month, so I figured I can read this one, and then I can probably get the second one probably early on in the new year, probably from the library or something if it's not on Kindle Unlimited. Then just a few other books I have written on my TBR. You can see me going through my Kindle. I was trying to find the books that I had picked up from the library that I was going to have to return soon, or just books that have been sitting on my Kindle for a while. One of them is Fearless. That's a library book. I think I need to return it probably midway through this month. So we'll see. I'm not really super excited about that one. It's just that's part of the Powerless trilogy. And I really feel like I should go ahead and try to finish the series, but I really did not like the second book at all, so we'll see. Honey Witch is another one. That was actually what I had chosen for my Adventures in Aldea prompt for October. That was a debut novel because that one is supposed to be a debut. So I might go ahead and read that one to count it for October. So that one might be pretty high up on the TBR. I also have A Crown of Flames and Ash. I cannot remember the title of this series either, but I do know I read the first book a couple of months ago and it was fantastic. So I definitely do not want to wait too long before reading this book because then I'll forget all about what happened in the first book because I'm already having trouble recalling it. But yeah, that one's also high up on the list. Empire of Storms, I own that book, so I can kind of read that whenever, but it's just the next book up in the series for Throne of Glass, which I'm trying to work my way through. And then The Stars of Dying, that was a possibility for October that had a really intriguing synopsis. So I wanted to put it on my TBR just so I wouldn't forget about it because it is something that I think I would want to read at some point. Now, I am going to quickly, and when I say quickly, really quickly, go through my October reads. I'm going to pretty much just tell you my overall thoughts on them, basically my star rating. So the first book I read was Grave Matter, and I read that because it fit a prompt for Bewitched. It has like skulls on the cover. This one was interesting. I've been hearing a lot about this book, so that's another reason why it caught my eye. This was more of a sci-fi, not really sci-fi, thriller type thing. Kind of just a weird overall book. I don't really know how to count it, but it really isn't fantasy. I gave it 3 stars. I read it in 3 days, but it felt longer than that. And that's never a good sign. But it's okay. It's just not really my cup of tea. There was a couple of twists that I didn't see coming, but the ending, I just hated the ending. And that just made me not really love the book as much. Like I said, I did read 4 books in the Savage 6 series. I thought it was a really easy read. It wasn't a complicated world. It is a romantasy. Why choose? You have vampires, witches, werewolves in a school setting. So, hey, what else could happen, right? I did listen to Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. That also I read because of the Bewitched challenge. See, I told you these challenges are great for that. That was interesting. That was definitely a very different. It has like a little bit of witchcraft in it, but it's like from the 1950s or 60s. It's like girls that go to this home. They're pregnant and their parents send them off to this home and they basically take their babies away. It's really, really weird. It's really weird. There's some very like traumatic things that also happen. And the audio was fine. So yeah, I think I gave this one like 3 stars. Assassin's Blade, I read that, part of Throne of Glass. Really nothing else to say. It was 4.5 stars. Great book. I actually listened to this one on audio. I own it, but I listened to it on audio. Really good audiobook. Really enjoyed that. And then A Promise So Bold and Broken. That was my favorite read. That's the second book in an ongoing series. Highly recommend that series. Really fun. It has like some politics in it. It's like fae, humans, a king that doesn't like half phase or anything like that. So you have that kind of dynamic. I enjoyed it. And then I read Ambrosia, and I read that to again fulfill a prompt with Bewitched, but I was part of a duology that I wanted to finish. It was a really quick read. I kind of enjoyed the first book, Frost. It had an interesting cliffhanger that I wanted to see how it ended, so I picked this up. It was a really fast read, and I think I gave that one like 3.5 stars, and 3.5 is fine for me. I'm not upset about that. All right, guys, here we go. So I really wish I had shifted this one up, but that's okay. I may do with some stickers. This is very, very tiny. So we'll see how I fit things in. Maybe I'll put some of the dots over here, and this will just be my mood reads, which will be books that are not listed here, that I just kind of picked up on a whim, because that happens pretty much every single month. And then I'll just put dots next to these to correspond to the days I start, finish, or the days I actually read them. We'll have to see if I can actually be consistent with it, marking in the days I read them. We'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, I do have a pretty lengthy TBR here, at least for how many I typically read. But these are the ones that are on my Kindle at the moment, or I have almost ready at the library. So I'm going to need to read them. So that's the reason why they're there, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to read them. They just mean that these are the ones that I'm more likely to read in the upcoming month. Now, when it comes to the pie charts, I put 3 pie charts here because that has seemed to be a good number. Every month I have been able to fill each of the 3 pie charts. However, what I actually captured on that might change just based on my readings. For example, in the month of October, I typically capture pages read. So how many books did I read that had between 300 and 400 pages, 400 and 500 pages, etc., etc. Pretty much every book I read was between the 300 and 400 range. So I just did not want to do that. It just would have been one big blob. So I decided to do the series, duology, and standalone. Plus, this was a pretty good month to capture this because I read a little bit of each. Typically, it's not a good month to capture that. So this was a good month to do that. The audio and digital, I was able to capture it this month. However, sometimes that's not a good one because I'm only reading ebooks. So I don't want a big blob. The star rating is usually a guarantee. I will probably always be capturing that because there's usually enough variety to put it in a pie chart. But I kind of change what I capture just based on what kind of stat will be displayed best in a pie chart. If it's something that will not be displayed best in a pie chart, I write it down here. As simple as that. So there we go. That is my setup. I hope you enjoyed this plan with me, or reading journal setup, as far as a little bit of an October recap. If you enjoyed this video, please press that like button. If you have yet to subscribe, I hope you would also consider subscribing to my channel, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have already started setting up my 2026 reading journal, and there will be several setup videos coming your way over the next few months. So definitely be on the lookout for that, because I have a really fun reading journal theme. I'm going to be an 8x8 journal. So the setup process is always a lot of fun, especially because I mainly stick to those annual challenge pages, annual stats pages, and stuff like that. And I can be a little bit more creative there. So definitely be on the lookout for those videos. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night. Until next time, bye.